big stretchies. Got my dog Oliver right here. If you knew me personally, you would not suspect that I would be having a YouTube channel for spirituality or art, because art is also a new endeavor in my life. But the reason that you wouldn't suspect that is because I'm a scientist. That's my day job. I have a PhD, and most scientists don't give topics like spirituality, life after death, like the fundamental nature of consciousness, UAPs and aliens visiting the Earth. They don't give these topics a due investigation. They basically just say they have a belief beforehand that there's no way this stuff could be true. The human mind is really good at filtering out evidence that is against what you believe. Scientists are humans too, even though you would think that they'd be better at this because it's what they spend their time doing all day. But we all have blind spots. But I eventually engaged with these topics with my scientific mind and found that this stuff's real. What do I mean specifically? So I watched a Netflix docuseries called Surviving Death that covers topics like psychics and mediums and reincarnation. And reincarnation was the one that was hardest for me to swallow. If you're from the US, you probably share a similar background that reincarnation is not a thing that most of us walk around thinking about. But what I've found is that there's numerous stories of children who remember details from a past life that are accurate. Researchers have identified the person who this child used to be and independently verified details in like a double-blinded manner. It's wild. There's been lots of research on mediumship and psychic abilities dating back like 150 years. And scientists all the time will say, if this stuff's real, then where's the evidence? There has been a long time of evidence. And honestly, like 100 years ago, 150 years ago, scientists took this seriously and believed in these things. But at some point, they just became discredited. But it was a actually mainstream scientific belief that people had abilities beyond our normal imagination of them now. Once you start to learn about these things, as a scientist who has some ability to give things the benefit of the doubt, it kind of opens your eyes. Reincarnation is my stepping stone into this world. So what I started to do once I realized, reincarnation seems like it's real. So I was thinking, what else is there? And I started to read about all these different topics like psychics, mediumship, different human abilities. And at some point I read the claim that we as humans have these abilities. And so I thought, right, that's a testable claim right there. So I'm going to try it because it was really hard for me to believe some of the stories surrounding it. And I thought the only way that I'm going to believe that this is real is if I try it for myself. And so I enrolled in a year-long course in mediumship. The class consisted of monthly meetings where we would take turns reading for each other, like one-on-one, and get feedback from a psychic medium. And I found very quickly that I could actually do this stuff. I was connecting with classmates, loved ones, and giving relevant, accurate information that I didn't know beforehand. So one of the examples that comes to mind, but there's 100, is I just started reading for one other student, and I connected with her grandfather. I felt his presence, and he showed me in my mind's eye an Airbnb that I stayed at in Roanoke, Virginia. and I've only been to Roanoke on the road 3 times. So he shows me this Airbnb that I was in, and I just took a shot in the dark and said, does he have a connection to Roanoke, Virginia? And it turns out that, yeah, he lived there for many years. And it's not, there were no context clues. It's not like I knew somehow that she was from Virginia. I don't even think she was from Virginia. I just think her dad lived there. In every class, there's so many of these examples of things that you just couldn't know. And really, when you're in that scenario, when you're trying these classes, it's hard to not believe. It's impossible. These are real abilities that I have. I assume that you could too. Another extreme example, this is the most extreme one that happened to me in the class. I was connecting with a classmate's grandfather, and he told me to tell her to watch out for her brother, like check on him, make sure he's doing okay. Like they were just worried about him was kind of the message from the other side. And so she told her father, and she and her father just kind of paid attention to like, have we been hearing from him? Have we not been hearing from him? And eventually they stopped hearing from him. And when they did, her dad, because of the warning, went to his house, the brother's house, or his son's house, and found him where he had drank so much that he needed to be hospitalized. And if she hadn't received that warning, it's possible that he wouldn't be here anymore. So, stuff like that is just, one, really hard to believe if you just read that in a book or hear it even from me. But being the person who gave that information, there's zero doubt that this is a real ability that I have, and that you probably have too. That's my background as far as my jumping off point into this world. But I became less interested in doing readings for people. That didn't resonate with me, so I moved on. What resonated more with me was just learning as much as I can about as many different aspects of spirituality. That sort of became my passion. And that passion led me to the understanding that we all have passions. And our passions are communications from our higher consciousness, or the source of consciousness inside everyone. So it's like this portion of yourself that can see the broader picture, that's not constrained by the human mind. It's like something, a part of your soul that knows where you're going, where you should go, and where it would be the best for you to go. And so one of the things that I've been really working on is to pay attention to these passions that come up. Whatever I feel drawn to, I try to go for those things. And so that kind of feedback loop put me down a spiritual path of gaining more and more understanding of all these different topics. And that's one of the things that I want this channel to be about, is discussing all the different like rabbit holes that I've gone down and the understanding that I've sort of developed, because I have learned from a lot of diverse sources that have been sometimes difficult to find. And I want to save time for anyone who is interested in this stuff and, explain sort of what I've learned. But I also definitely want to have this channel be something where I share my thought process, like my current thought process and how I'm going through things, how I think about art, how I think about passion, and the communication from your higher self, or the source of consciousness within you. Yeah, so researching spirituality quickly became one of my passions. And also painting became one of my passions. And also this channel, communicating my thoughts, feels like another passion. And so for the time being, this is what I'm going with, these 3 kind of passions. And I'm just going to follow them as far as they take me and see where they go. But there's a lot to talk about in painting in particular, and in the act of creation. I wouldn't say that I am the world's greatest painter, but I am happy with most of the paintings that I paint. And I think that that is because of the way that I listen to that inner voice when I'm painting, and the way that I listen to that inner voice when I'm choosing things that I want to paint. I'm just trusting that my source of consciousness, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, spirit, that they have my back in this, and that they are co-creators with me. And that trust allows me to do things, and I think make progress faster than I ever would have expected would be possible in painting in particular. And it's really been an awesome journey so far. It's been 1 year since I started painting, and yeah, very happy to start sharing these things, to feel comfortable enough that I could be on camera as a scientist, and just, you know, talk about these things that I spend all day thinking about. So yeah, thanks for joining me. If you like this video, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Subscribe for more, and regardless, I send you my unconditional love. Thanks. Bye-bye.